All right, guys, here we go. Another garage day. I think today we're gonna do a little work on the expansion chamber on the 250. We're gonna pop her off there, see if we can't pull some dents out of her, play around with a little bit. I do have a new FMF pipe on order, so I'm not too concerned about whether this works or not, but I figure it'll be interesting to see if we can get any of these dents out. Something to do. So we're just gonna start out by pulling the muffler off, and then we'll pull the expansion chamber off. I think I might run down to the Cowie Honda shop or KTM and see if they have any exhaust packing. Maybe I'll repack this FMF turbine core 2.1, and yeah, then we'll work on trying to get the dents out of the pipe. We'll go from there. Easy peasy. Yeah, we'll see if we can't get that guy out of there. Alright, now I'll take a little WD-40, spray on the gunky areas, do a little cleanup on them. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you get the idea. So after getting her cleaned up a little bit with WD-40, I've realized there's a few more dents in this thing than I thought there were, but we'll put a little bit of effort into it and see how straight we can get this thing. Probably pop these O-rings off real quick just to make sure that we're not gonna damage them, because I think I'll reuse these guys, so, which you're never supposed to do, but I do all the time. Now we got this guy, the eBay special. It's pretty self-explanatory how this works. We'll just get her set up here and give her a whirl. Okay, so these don't have to be super tight on this little flange connector, but you want them pretty snug. You want to try to make sure you have enough room to get your bolts through here, about like so, so that you can get the top mounted securely, which I don't think we're gonna have a problem. Just need to get a couple of these started so we can quit fighting with them all. Kind of get the idea what's going on here anyhow. I want to bring up fairly even. If you can. Again, this doesn't have to be crazy tight. Now we'll take this one, we'll do the same thing on the other end, and I will just cut straight to that because nobody wants to watch this because my fingers are cold, and basically I make this look harder than it is probably. Now this one does have to be tight because there's no flange for it to catch on. So this one will need to be a wee bit tighter. But you don't want to get too carried away to where you're smashing this thing, right? So you got to check your bolt length real quick here. See if you got enough. And we don't quite, so we want to move this thing up a little bit. I don't know, maybe to right there or so. What do you think? That looks pretty legit. So I will say, this is the first time I've done this, so I don't really know how well this is going to go. So I'm no expert on it, and I don't claim to be. But I watched a bunch of guys do it on YouTube, so how hard could it possibly be? YouTube trained, right? What else can you do? That being said, I do want to make it very clear, this is pretty dangerous. You are making a miniature explosive here when you do this. Whenever you have compressed air, you're putting yourself in jeopardy for sure. So if you don't know what you're doing, probably don't do it. This is my best way to tell you. And if you think you know what you're doing but you're not sure, yeah, probably don't do it. So again, you're just trying to make a seal here, so this doesn't have to be super tight. Once it starts bowing like that, you're probably good enough. These, you want to make sure they're pretty snug though. But not so snug that you're smashing your pipe, right? So there's more than one way you can do this, obviously. I'm going to try it the old-fashioned way because I don't really feel like firing up the air compressor today. We're just going to try the old hand pump, see if we can get any air to hold in this thing. That'll be our first step to see whether this is going to work or not. But this is how you test also whether your seals are sealing at your clamps. I think we'll put about 30 psi in here and just see what happens. Once you start putting air into this thing, I'll tell you right now, you want to start getting your safety gear on, safety glasses, which I'm putting on right now. I'm going to put some gloves on just because, mainly because my fingers are cold. It's only about 35 degrees out here, so. Again, this is dangerous. I don't recommend anybody do it, honestly, unless you know what you're doing. It's not to be toyed with. All right, there's 30 plus. Let's get set up for the heat. Okay, so I'm going to be using a little map gas torch like this. It's a little slower than acetylene, but it's going to do the job for sure. This is the setup I'm going to use. Take her nice and slow. The pressure will build in this thing as you're heating it, so let's give it a try and see what happens. With the way that one looks. Even with the steam in it, it popped out pretty good. Yeah, pretty happy with that so far. Cool. So she's still pretty hot right now, but don't know, I'm pretty happy with the results so far. We have increased from 30 that I started out with up to over 60 pounds, so that's enough. We'll let her cool off and clean her up, and she'll be ready to ride. Like I said, probably not putting this pipe back on, as I do have FMF on the way. So okay, so it's obviously been a few hours since I put the heat to the pipe. I let the pipe cool off, and then I let the air out of the pipe, pulled the clamps off, spent a little bit of time cleaning her up. This is the results. You can tell it's not perfect in every way, but still got some ripples and some bumps to her. But as far as having big power rubbing dents in it, I don't know. I think it's pretty good. Definitely better than it was, for sure. Like I said, I'm not going to put this pipe back on. I'm going to wait for the FMF pipe to get here, and that's the one that I'll be running. But this will make a good spare pipe, and really happy with the results. Won't be afraid to try that in the future if I need to do it to the new pipe. Anyhow, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Till the next one, I'm out.